Have you ever paid for someone's dream wedding only to be humiliated in front of everyone? This is the story of how I spent $50,000 on my son's wedding, how his entitled bride screamed at me to get out in front of 200 guests, and how one phone call from the parking lot made her fairy tale come crashing down in the most satisfying way imaginable. My name is Margaret. I'm 58 years old, and this is the story of the day I taught an entitled bride a very expensive lesson. Let me tell you about my son Ryan first, because understanding our relationship will help you understand why what happened hurt so much. Ryan is my only child. His father died when Ryan was 12. Cancer. It was brutal. After that, it was just the two of us. I worked 2 jobs to give Ryan everything he needed, put him through college, helped him get his first apartment. We were close. Best friends. He called me every week, came home for holidays. We had a good relationship. Then, he met Emma. Emma was beautiful, polished, from a wealthy family. She worked in marketing and carried herself like someone used to getting what she wanted. When Ryan brought her home to meet me, she was charming, complimentary, told me how lucky Ryan was to have such a devoted mother. I liked her, but after they got engaged, things changed. Emma started making little comments about my house, my clothes, my job, always wrapped in concern. Margaret, have you thought about updating your kitchen? It's so dated. Margaret, you should really invest in some nicer outfits. First impressions matter. I ignored it, told myself she was just trying to help, that maybe I was being too sensitive. Then the wedding planning started, and Emma showed her true colors. Emma wanted a huge wedding, 200 guests, country club venue, designer dress, full band, open bar, professional photographer and videographer. Everything expensive, everything perfect. Ryan mentioned the cost, said maybe they should scale back. Have something more modest. Emma threw a fit, said she'd been dreaming of her perfect wedding since she was a little girl, that she deserved to have the day she'd always wanted, that if Ryan really loved her, he'd find a way to make it happen. Ryan caved immediately. They came to me, said they needed help with the wedding budget. Emma's parents were contributing $20,000, but the wedding Emma wanted would cost at least $70,000 total. Could I help cover the rest? I looked at Ryan, saw how much he loved this woman, saw how badly he wanted to make her happy. I said yes. $50,000, my retirement savings, money I'd been putting away for years. I withdrew it all and wrote them a check. Emma hugged me, thanked me, said I was the best mother-in-law anyone could ask for. I should have known better. The next 6 months were hell. Emma treated me like hired help, called me constantly with wedding errands, pick up her dress from alterations, drive to 3 different bakeries to sample cakes, stand in line for 2 hours to secure hotel room blocks. Every time I helped, she found something to criticize. The dress had a loose thread I should have noticed. The cakes weren't sweet enough and I should have pushed the bakery harder. The hotel rooms had a bad view and I should have demanded better. Nothing I did was good enough. I tried talking to Ryan about it. He said Emma was just stressed about the wedding, that she'd relax once everything was finalized, that I should be patient. So I was patient, bit my tongue, kept helping, kept spending money, kept trying to make Emma happy, and Emma kept treating me worse. 2 weeks before the wedding, Emma called me, said she needed to talk about something important. We met at a coffee shop. She ordered the most expensive drink on the menu, didn't offer to pay, waited for me to cover it. Margaret, she said, I need you to understand something. This wedding is about me and Ryan, not about you. I know that, I said. Do you? Because you keep inserting yourself into everything, making suggestions, trying to have opinions, and frankly, it's exhausting. I'm just trying to help. You asked me to help. I asked you to do what I told you to do, not to think, just to execute. But you keep questioning my choices, and I need you to stop. I felt my face flush with anger. Emma, I've given you $50,000 and 6 months of my time. I think I've earned the right to have an opinion. She smiled. That cold smile. I know you think giving us money means you get a say. But it doesn't. You're not paying for a seat at the table. You're paying for the privilege of being invited at all. Excuse me? Ryan chose me. Not you. And if you want to be part of his life going forward, you need to accept that I come first. Always. I stood up. We'll see about that. I walked out, drove home, called Ryan and told him everything Emma had said. He said I was overreacting, that Emma didn't mean it the way it sounded, that I was being dramatic. I told him I was done helping, that Emma could handle the rest herself. Ryan begged me not to pull out now, said everything was already arranged. That canceling would be a disaster. Against my better judgment, I agreed to go through with it. For Ryan. Just for Ryan. The wedding day arrived. I got dressed in the outfit Emma had approved. Navy dress, modest heels, minimal jewelry, everything she dictated. I arrived at the venue early, helped with last-minute setup, even though Emma had told me not to come until ceremony time. The wedding coordinator thanked me, said she wished more mothers of the groom were as helpful as I was. That felt good, like maybe I wasn't crazy. Maybe Emma really was the problem. The ceremony was beautiful, expensive, every detail perfect. When Ryan and Emma said their vows, I cried. My boy, all grown up, starting his own family. Even with everything that had happened, I was happy for him. The reception started, dinner was served. Speeches were given. Everything went smoothly. I stayed at my table, didn't make a fuss, didn't try to insert myself, did exactly what Emma had told me to do. Then came the mother-son dance. The DJ announced it. Ryan walked over to my table, extended his hand. I stood up. We walked to the dance floor. The music started. We began to dance. I told Ryan I loved him, told him I was proud of him. He said he loved me too, said he appreciated everything I'd done. It was a perfect moment. Then Emma walked over, tapped Ryan on the shoulder, interrupted our dance. "That's enough," she said. "Other people want to dance." It had been less than a minute. The song wasn't even half over. "Emma, this is the mother-son dance," Ryan said gently. And I said, "That's enough. Other people are waiting." She grabbed Ryan's arm, pulled him away from me, left me standing alone in the middle of the dance floor. Everyone was watching, whispering. I walked back to my table, humiliated. 10 minutes later, the DJ announced the father-daughter dance. Emma's father walked her to the dance floor. They danced for the entire song. 4 minutes, no interruptions. I sat there watching, feeling the inequity of it. After dinner, I went to the bar to get a drink. Needed something to calm my nerves. Emma appeared next to me, leaned in close. "You're making a scene," she hissed. "I'm sitting at my table drinking wine. How is that making a scene?" "Your face. You look miserable. You're ruining the photos. I need you to smile." I turned to face her directly. "Emma, I paid for this entire wedding. I think I'm allowed to have whatever expression I want." Her face went cold. "You did not pay for this wedding. Ryan did. The money you gave was a gift, not a purchase." "A gift?" "I gave you $50,000, and Ryan will remember that. But I'll remember that you've spent 6 months being passive-aggressive and difficult. So maybe balance that out before you start making demands." I felt rage building. I took a breath. Tried to stay calm. Emma walked away, went back to her guests, laughed and smiled like nothing had happened. I stood at the bar, shaking, trying to decide what to do. An hour later, Emma found me again. I was sitting at my table, not bothering anyone, just trying to get through the night. She walked up, stood over me. "You need to leave," she said. "What?" "I want you to leave. Right now. You're bringing down the energy. Everyone can tell you're unhappy. And I'm not going to let you ruin my wedding. This is my son's wedding. I'm not leaving." She raised her voice. I said, "Get out." The entire reception went silent. 200 people turned to stare at us. Ryan appeared. "Emma, what's going on? Your mother is making a scene. I told her to leave." Ryan looked at me, looked at Emma, then looked down at the floor. "Mom, maybe you should go." I felt like I'd been slapped. "You want me to leave? After everything I've done? After everything I've paid for?" "Please don't make this harder," he said quietly. I stood up, grabbed my purse, looked at Ryan one more time. "You're choosing her. After everything, you're choosing her." He didn't answer. I walked out, heard Emma say loudly, "Thank God. Now we can actually enjoy the night." I got to my car in the parking lot, sat behind the wheel, cried for 10 minutes. Then I stopped crying, pulled out my phone, and made a call. The wedding coordinator answered on the second ring. "Margaret? Is everything okay?" "No, everything is not okay. I need you to do something for me." "What do you need?" "I paid for this wedding, the entire venue, the food, the bar, the music, everything, and I'm being thrown out, so I'm canceling my payment. You can't do that. The contract is in my name. I wrote the check, and I'm calling the venue right now to stop payment, but the reception is happening right now." "I know, and in about 20 minutes, it's going to stop happening. Enjoy explaining that to Emma." I hung up, called the venue manager, explained the situation. He was sympathetic, said he'd handle it, said he'd give them a chance to make alternative payment arrangements before shutting anything down. I thanked him, hung up. Then I drove home, poured myself a large glass of wine, and waited. My phone started ringing 30 minutes later. Ryan. I didn't answer. He called again, and again, and again. I finally picked up. "Mom, what did you do?" "I stopped paying for a wedding I was kicked out of. They shut down the bar. The DJ stopped playing. The venue manager is saying we have to pay the full balance right now or they're shutting down the entire reception. Then I suggest you pay the balance. We don't have that kind of money. Emma's parents already paid their portion. We thought your check covered everything else." It did. Until I was told to get out. "Mom, please, don't do this. This is my wedding." "No, Ryan. This was supposed to be your wedding." But Emma made it very clear it was her wedding, about her, and she didn't want me there. So why should I pay for it? He was silent. "You chose her," I continued, "in front of everyone. After everything I've done, everything I've sacrificed. You let her humiliate me and then told me to leave, so now you get to deal with the consequences." "Mom?" I hung up. The next call came from Emma, screaming, "You psycho. You ruined my wedding. You ruined it yourself when you kicked me out. We can't afford to pay the venue. They're going to shut everything down. There are still 2 hours left. Not my problem. I will sue you. I will destroy you. Good luck with that. The contract is in my name. I paid. I was invited. And I was thrown out. Any judge would side with me. You're bitter and pathetic." I hung up. The calls kept coming. Emma's parents, the wedding coordinator, several guests asking what was happening. I ignored all of them, turned off my phone, went to bed. The next morning, I woke up to 47 missed calls and dozens of text messages. The wedding had been shut down. The DJ packed up mid-song. The bar stopped serving. The venue staff started cleaning up while guests were still there. Emma had a meltdown, screamed at everyone, blamed me for ruining her perfect day. Several guests left early, posted on social media about the disaster. It was the talk of everyone who'd been there. Emma's parents tried to negotiate with the venue, offered to pay over time. The venue refused, said they needed payment immediately or they'd pursue legal action. Eventually, Emma's parents scrounged together enough to cover the remaining balance. But by then, the reception was over. Most guests had left. The moment was ruined. Ryan called me from the honeymoon. They'd still gone on the trip. Emma had insisted despite everything. "Mom, how could you do this to us? I didn't do anything to you. I removed my financial support from a situation where I was being abused. You embarrassed us, in front of everyone. Emma embarrassed me first, and you let her." He was quiet for a long time. "I don't know if I can forgive this," he finally said. "Then don't. I can live with that." I hung up. It's been 8 months now since the wedding. Ryan and I haven't spoken. He and Emma are still married, living their life. I'm okay with that, because I learned something important that day. You teach people how to treat you, and for 6 months, I'd taught Emma that she could disrespect me and I'd take it, that she could demand everything and offer nothing. So she kept pushing, kept taking, until she pushed too far. And when she did, I showed her there were consequences. Some people say I was cruel, that I should have just left quietly, that ruining the reception was petty and vindictive. Maybe they're right. Maybe I should have been the bigger person, but I don't regret it. Emma needed to learn that you can't treat people like garbage and expect them to keep supporting you. That money comes with respect. That generosity has limits. And Ryan needed to learn that choosing a spouse doesn't mean abandoning your parent, that you can love your wife and still defend your mother, that standing by while someone humiliates the woman who raised you is unforgivable. If Ryan ever calls me and genuinely apologizes, I'll listen. I'll consider rebuilding our relationship. But Emma? I'm done with Emma. She wanted a wedding without me. Now she gets a life without me. Fair trade. So here's my question for all of you. If you paid $50,000 for a wedding and the bride kicked you out in front of everyone, would you have stopped payment? Or would you have walked away quietly? Is pulling financial support petty revenge or justified consequences? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Not the asshole if you think I did the right thing. You're the asshole if you think I went too far. Everyone sucks here if you think we all handled it badly. No assholes. Here if you think this was just an impossible situation. And if you've ever dealt with an entitled family member who took your generosity for granted, I'm sorry. You deserved better. We all do. Thanks for listening. Subscribe for more stories about family drama, entitled people, and standing up for yourself when no one else will. See you in the next episode. What I didn't tell you is what happened in the months after the wedding disaster, because that's when things got truly complicated. 3 weeks after the wedding, I got a letter in the mail. From a lawyer. Emma was suing me. The lawsuit claimed I'd breached a verbal contract by promising to pay for the wedding and then withdrawing support. She was seeking damages for emotional distress, reputational harm, and the cost of salvaging the reception. $50,000 in damages, the exact amount I'd originally contributed. I called my own lawyer immediately. His name was Tom. I'd known him for years. He'd handled my divorce decades ago. Tom, they're suing me for stopping payment on my own money. He read through the paperwork, then started laughing. This lawsuit is garbage. You paid for services. Services were rendered. Then you were ejected from the event you paid for. Any judge will see you had every right to withdraw further payment. What about the verbal contract claim? Gifts aren't contracts. Unless there was a written agreement specifying repayment terms or conditions, which I'm guessing there wasn't. This is just a desperate money grab. So they won't win. They won't even make it to trial. I'll file a motion to dismiss. This will be over in 2 months. He was right. 6 weeks later, the case was dismissed. The judge ruled that I'd paid for a service, was expelled from that service, and had every right to discontinue payment. No breach of contract. No damages owed. Emma had to pay my legal fees. Another $8,000. 2 months after the wedding, I got a surprise visit. Emma's mother showed up at my door. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "Margaret," she said when I opened the door, "we need to talk. I don't think we have anything to discuss. Please, just give me 10 minutes. I let her in. We sat in my living room. She looked uncomfortable. "I want to apologize," she said, "for Emma, for everything that happened at the wedding. Emma is the one who owes me an apology, not you. I know, but she won't give you one. She's too proud, too stubborn. So I'm apologizing on her behalf. That doesn't fix anything." "I know." She paused. "I also want to tell you something. About Emma. Something that might help you understand." "I'm listening." "Emma's father and I divorced when she was 8. It was ugly. He remarried quickly. His new wife was horrible to Emma, treated her like an inconvenience, and he let it happen. He chose his new wife over his daughter every single time. I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm not Emma's father. And Ryan isn't his new wife. This isn't the same situation. I know, but Emma sees patterns that aren't there. When Ryan talks about you, when he visits you, when he mentions childhood memories you shared, she hears him choosing you, and it triggers something in her. That's not my problem to fix. No, it's not. But maybe it explains why she acted the way she did, why she pushed so hard to make you small. She thought if you were less important, she'd be more secure. She accomplished the opposite. Now I want nothing to do with her." Emma's mother nodded sadly. "I know. And honestly, I don't blame you. She crossed every line. But for what it's worth, she's miserable. The wedding disaster follows her everywhere. People talk. Social media posts won't die. She can't escape it. Good. Emma's mother looked at me with sad eyes. You really mean that? Yes, I do. Because maybe if she's miserable enough, she'll learn something. Maybe she'll think twice before treating the next person this way. Emma's mother stood up. I understand. Thank you for hearing me out. After she left, I sat there thinking about what she'd said. Emma's childhood trauma, the patterns she saw, the insecurity driving her behavior. And I still didn't care. Trauma doesn't excuse cruelty. Understanding why someone hurts you doesn't mean you have to forgive them. 4 months after the wedding, Ryan called. First time since the honeymoon. I almost didn't answer. Let it ring 3 times. Then picked up. Mom. Ryan. Silence on both ends. I miss you, he said finally. I miss you too. Can we talk? In person? I don't know if that's a good idea. Please, I need to see you. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at a diner halfway between our homes, neutral territory. Ryan looked terrible, dark circles under his eyes, weight loss, stress written all over his face. We ordered coffee, sat in awkward silence. I'm sorry, he said eventually, for everything, for how Emma treated you, for not defending you, for choosing her over you at the wedding. Thank you for saying that. I was weak. I wanted to make her happy, and I convinced myself you'd understand. That you'd forgive me because you always forgive me. That's not fair to expect. I know. And I'm sorry for taking you for granted. He looked down at his coffee. Seemed like he wanted to say more, but couldn't find the words. How's married life? I asked. He laughed bitterly. Not great. I raised my eyebrows. You've been married 4 months. I know, but things have been hard. Emma is angry all the time. About the wedding, about you, about everything. She blames me for not handling things better, for not convincing you to keep paying. I didn't know what to say to that, and she's gotten worse, more controlling, more critical. The things she says to me sometimes. He trailed off. What things? He shook his head. It doesn't matter. Ryan, what things? She says I'm not successful enough, that I'm not ambitious enough, that she deserves better, that she settled when she married me. Oh, Ryan. He looked like he might cry. I thought marriage would be different. I thought she'd be different once we were married. But she's not. She's worse. What are you going to do? I don't know. Stay, I guess. Make it work. That's what you do when you're married, right? Not if you're miserable. You stayed with Dad. Dad didn't treat me like that. Dad loved me, respected me. We were partners. Ryan was quiet. If Emma treats you the way she treated me, you need to consider whether this marriage is worth saving. She's my wife, and I'm your mother, and she kicked me out of a wedding I paid for. So forgive me if I don't think marriage vows are sacred when the person you married is cruel. Ryan finished his coffee, said he needed to think, hugged me goodbye, left. I sat there for another hour, hoping he'd find the strength to leave, knowing he probably wouldn't. 6 months after the wedding, I got a text from Ryan. Emma's pregnant. I stared at the message for a long time, didn't know how to feel. Part of me was happy, a grandchild, something I'd always wanted. Part of me was devastated. Now, Ryan was tied to Emma forever. No easy way out, I texted back. Congratulations. Let me know if you need anything, he responded. Can we meet? We met at the same diner. This time he looked different, not exhausted, not stressed, almost resigned. I wanted to tell you in person, he said, about the baby, and to ask you something. Okay. Emma wants to make things right. She wants you to be involved, to be a grandmother to our child. I took a breath. Why the sudden change of heart? She's scared. She doesn't know how to be a mother. Her own mother wasn't great, and she realized that pushing you away means our child won't have a grandmother on my side. So she wants me back now that I'm useful again. Mom, please, can you try? For the baby? I thought about it, about meeting my grandchild, about being part of their life, and I thought about Emma, about her cruelty, about her manipulation, about the fact that she only wanted me now because I served a purpose. "I'll be a grandmother," I said. "But I won't have a relationship with Emma. I'll see the baby. I'll babysit. I'll be involved. But Emma and I will not be friends. We will be civil strangers coexisting for the sake of this child." Ryan nodded slowly. "I can work with that. And Ryan, if Emma ever treats me the way she treated me at the wedding, I'm gone. For good. No second chances. Understood. It's been almost a year now since the wedding. The baby is due next month. A girl. Ryan and I have rebuilt some version of our relationship. It's not what it was, but it's something. Emma and I are polite when we see each other, cold, formal, but civil. I've made my boundaries clear. I won't be disrespected. I won't be taken advantage of. I won't be anyone's emotional punching bag. And if they cross those boundaries, I'll walk away. Permanently. People tell me I should forgive Emma, that holding grudges is unhealthy, that family is family. But I disagree. Forgiveness isn't mandatory. Especially when the person who hurt you hasn't genuinely changed. Emma hasn't apologized, hasn't taken responsibility, hasn't shown any real remorse. She just wants access to my money and my babysitting services. So I give her polite distance, and I give Ryan another chance. But trust, respect, love, those have to be earned, and Emma hasn't earned them. If I could go back to that wedding night, would I do it again? Absolutely. Some people say I was petty, that I should have walked away with dignity. But walking away quietly would have taught Emma nothing, would have shown Ryan that I'd accept any treatment as long as he asked nicely. By pulling my financial support, I taught them both a lesson. Actions have consequences. Disrespect has costs. And generosity isn't unconditional. So if you're in a situation where someone is taking advantage of your kindness, remember this. You are allowed to set boundaries. You are allowed to demand respect. You are allowed to withdraw your support when people abuse it. And you are allowed to do all of that without guilt, because at the end of the day, teaching people how to treat you isn't petty, it's self-respect. Thanks for listening to my story. If this resonated with you, hit subscribe. Drop a comment with your thoughts. Share your own story of standing up to entitled family members. And remember, your money, your rules, always. See you next time.